Going on, ladies and gentlemen and ladies? I'm on for another video. So the reason I'm making this video, I think I have to put these things into context. People may think Tatum just making videos, just going off, he's just going crazy. I'm making this video because I was watching on YouTube and I saw that Sports Center or something gave commentary about what happened at the Capitol, and it was Shaquille O'Neal and the rest of them dudes. And it bothered me to the core. It bothered me. And shout out to my people joining, man. It bothered me when I saw Shaquille O'Neal make the statement to say that if black people would have stormed the Capitol, there would have been a different outcome. Here's what I want people to understand from this. That there is a tremendous falsehood, lie, and hypocritical theme that's being pushed that people are subsequently falling for. Don't fall for this stuff, y'all. This is propaganda. This is propaganda that they push. They've done this throughout the history to destroy countries and to pit people against each other. There is no way that you have lived through this summer, and I mean since 2016. If you have lived consciously through 2016 to now, there's no way you can make the statement to say that if black people would have stormed the Capitol, that somehow they would have been met with different forces. Let me explain to you why there's a difference between the two and why people are comparing apples to oranges and how they're hypocritical to the highest extreme when it comes to what happened at the Capitol versus what BLM does. BLM burned down entire city blocks. Entire city blocks. I have my staff putting together a video as we speak because the video is going to show very vividly and clearly exactly what BLM was doing and the effects that they had. And then you have to ask yourself the question, why are they not reporting exactly what BLM did? They burned down entire cities. People were getting killed. They were beating and bludgeoning police officers. They had police officers running from them. They were burning police squad cars to the ground. And it wasn't just in one or two places. It was all around the entire country that BLM was doing this. And they mentioned on the show, well, why do they get met with, when black people do something, they get met with the National Guard. First of all, the National Guard is deployed by governors of independent states. So you can't say every state is the same. Second of all, because BLM and other domestic terrorist groups are burning and looting buildings, damages in the billions, looting in the hundreds of thousands, even millions. So therefore they know what the propensity is. The reason why they had nobody at the Capitol, why they had lax security, because there has never been violence at any of Trump's rallies, at anything conservatives have ever done. There's never been violence. Even when conservatives were fighting against them, making us wear masks, they showed up at the Capitol armed, no violence. I have never seen violence at any Trump rally I've been to, any conservative, anything. I've never seen violence. There's no reputation of violence. There's no evidence of violence. Donald Trump is not instigating violence. So therefore they don't have any security. Here's the other thing that I think people need to get in their minds. And if anybody disagree with me, I'll bring you on live. I'll bring you on live to contest your points, even though your points are invalid and ignorant, and people will find out very clearly. Riddle me this. Why are they saying this whole year, defund the police, law enforcement, the government are suffering from systemic racism, is what they said. They are claiming that if Capitol Police encountered black people, they would have treated them differently than they treated white people. That is systemic racism, my friends. That is what you call racism. So why are they celebrating Capitol Police when at the same time they're saying Capitol Police are rooted in racism? If black people show up to the Capitol and they get treated different than white people, that's racism. But yet and still you're saying, shout out to the Capitol Police. You guys are heroes. Thank you for your service. When you want to defund the police the whole year. But you're saying thank you for your service to racist police officers and racist Capitol Police. But that's not what you're saying. I know what you're saying. We know what you're saying. Don't be fooled, ladies and gentlemen. It's called political expediency. It makes them look good politically by saying if black people were there, they would be treated differently than white people. It makes President Trump look bad, and it makes conservatives look bad. So they can push that narrative. And at the same time, because someone died, if they push the narrative of heroic Capitol Police, then it makes Trump look bad and it makes conservatives look bad because they killed heroes. They've never supported police. They want to defund police. They want them to die. They got all these negative things they say about police all year long, and all of a sudden they're heroes now. David Dorn gets slaughtered by BLM protests who were looting and robbing a pawn shop. Nobody mentioned David Dorn's name. Nobody supported him. Democrats didn't call him a hero, even though he served the black community and served well for, I think, over 40 some years. They didn't even mention his name because they don't care really in the grand scheme of things. I don't want people to get fooled by this stuff. It's all lies. It's all propaganda. People, they cry and spit and say that Donald Trump is a racist. Donald Trump is a racist. Yet they overlook everything that Joe Biden has done. They overlook everything Joe Biden has done. They're hiring people and putting people in positions, even before they get into office, who are clearly racist individuals. I forget the lady's name, but y'all probably seen her floating around. She's supposed to be over diversity and equality or something in the White House, something related to that. And she wrote a statement as a professor or in her graduation, I think when she was getting her degree or whatever from Harvard or some prestigious university. She wrote that black people are superior than white people. Melanin and all these things and athleticism and all these things cause black people to be more superior than white people. Now, if that's the study, that's the study. But if a white person said that, even if it was true, it would just be, the world would end. And I don't understand how we've gotten into this position of hypocrisy. We have gotten in a position as a country that white people are the enemy. That's where we at, America. And like black people stood up, I think white people need to start standing up for themselves. Because you can't even say nothing without being a racist. You can't even have a belief system without being a racist. You can't even challenge anybody without being a racist, being hateful. They are doing exactly what they claim was done to black people in this country. They're doing it to white people now. I'm telling you, you can't even believe in something and protest at the Capitol building, or you're an insurrectionist. But if you were black and you burned down an entire city, you were righteously fighting for what was right. You were righteously fighting for what was right. I'm telling y'all, I see the writing on the wall, man. I wish that other people would see it. I wish that it was clearer, because it's sickening to me, the racism that I see coming from the other side. The racism that I see coming from black folks. This is their time to shine. This is their time to say, look at white people. Ha ha, now you know how we feel. Well, 99% of y'all don't feel no way because you wasn't born in the 60s. And if you were born in the 60s, you were a little kid. And you didn't experience anything substantial until the 70s, 80s. Because you were a kid. And you didn't have to work, you didn't have to do none of that stuff. So don't tell me this is what white people feel like. Some of y'all grew up in the North. There was no Jim Crow in the North. Black people were very successful in this country. And they lied to you. I don't understand how people want to receive a lie that makes their culture look bad. Black people weren't running around here without opportunities. Even in segregation, black people created their own stuff. They weren't associated with white people. And this is why Martin Luther King got pushed back, because he was trying to integrate. It wasn't that black people didn't go to school. It wasn't that black people didn't have their own schools. It's that they weren't integrated with white schools. And they believed that white schools had more benefits. They had better books. But black people could have continued down that path and over time would have developed their own thing. That's why Martin Luther King had some pushback, because people didn't agree with Martin. They didn't agree that we need to desegregate. They felt like black people needed their own malls. They needed their own clothing line. They needed their own grocery stores. And black people, in fact, in many of these historical black communities, which is where I grew up at, in Fort Worth, Texas, in Stop 6, historical black communities where you have black doctors and lawyers, black-owned businesses, black people had their own stuff. Black people had their own stuff. Black people were scientists. They were lawyers, politicians, and they did not make up the majority of the population. Black people were doing very well. And they started doing worse when it was intervention from Democrats. And I'm telling you this, and I'm not trying to be racist or anything. I agreed to a certain degree with Malcolm X and some of these other civil rights people who didn't want nothing to do with white people. And it wasn't that they didn't want nothing to do with white people. They didn't want nothing to do with the white liberals. Malcolm X knew that if black people sided with the white liberal, that would be the end of black people as we know it. Malcolm X was trying to tell us, don't get involved with white liberals. They are worse than the slave owners. They are worse. The white liberal is the enemy, is what Malcolm X and them were saying. And some of what we call the radical Islamic black folks. They are. The white liberal is the one that tricked you into food stamps and has tricked black people into being a voting class that is needing the Democrat Party, and they have yet to do anything for black people, and they manipulate all minorities. They manipulate minorities. They tell you what you want to hear. They sell you a nightmare, and they do nothing for you. They do nothing for you. They sell you a nightmare. Joe Biden is saying, we're going to work with black businesses first, minority businesses first. Why? Do minorities not live in white neighborhoods where white-owned businesses are at? Do minorities only live around minorities? Why are minorities not married to white business owners? What kind of world are you living in? We should be helping people who need it. I think I got my stimulus check on a card. I think it's like $2,500 on a card. I don't need that. Give it to the single mom that's out here busting her butt. $2,500 will go a long way for her. $2,500 is good for me, but I'm not dying without $2,500. I'm not going to not pay bills and my company is going to go to the ground without $2,500. They should not have given that to me. Now, my plan is that I'm going to spend it on other people. That $2,500, I'm going to buy people groceries. I'm going to spend all that money on somebody else. I'm paying in taxes anyway. Y'all don't even want to know how many taxes I paid this year. But anyway, they lied. They're deceptive. They want division. That's why Joe Biden, before they even transitioned, he's talking about black people will be treated differently. We live in a racist America, and I'm going to help minority businesses first. When white people make up more of America than minorities do, and you're going to help minorities first, and you think that's not going to cause division, You think that's not going to cause animosity? Because your kid's stomach don't care about the color of your skin. If your kids are hungry, they're hungry. If you got employees that are going to be laid off, nobody cares about your race. People got to eat. And if you are starting your presidency out saying that you're gonna pick and choose what racial groups you support first, what demographics you support first, you are setting yourself up for a twist. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm finished because I'm sweating and I'm in this car. I don't want to turn the AC on because it'll get too loud in here. Republicans, conservatives, not you and me, because we were smart enough not to condemn everything that rose into social media. We were smart enough. But I'm talking about the ones who weren't smart enough that's on somebody else's live stream. You played yourself. You played yourself. What happened at the Capitol was predictable. Given all that has happened with the election, it's predictable. You should have said it's mostly peaceful. There's a few people that did this that we don't agree with, but it's mostly peaceful. It's mostly peaceful. There's voter fraud. That push your agenda. Don't bow down to the mob because they're not going to support you. You bowed down like a coward. You said, I condemn, I condemn, I condemn. Look, left, look, liberals, see, I'm a good conservative. I condemn that. And now they said, oh, is that right? You condemn, don't you? So do we. What are you condemning? I'm condemning people going into the Capitol because they're fighting against voter irregularity, voter fraud. Oh, you do? Okay, me too. So now what that means is that everybody that has been pushing the rhetoric of voter irregularity, voter fraud, now you're responsible for them going into the Capitol. Now you are vicariously responsible. Now the rhetoric that you've been pushing to fight for voter integrity has now been situated as fuel to flaming insurrectionists. And so now when they can justify banning all speech that is instigating or supporting anything related to voter irregularity, because now you are fueling the fire of insurrectionists. And Donald Trump spit in his own face when he came out and condemned, because they don't care if you condemn President Trump. They're going to impeach you anyway. They don't care if you condemn. They are going to blame you for any death. They're never going to support you. They're going to impeach you and try to remove you from office with 2 days left, just to stick it to you. And all of that, we want peace. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They played y'all and you fell into it. You gave them talking points on a silver platter. And when they defund you, kick you off of social media because you had certain words in it, you are the one that told them and confirmed with them that those words caused those actions at the Capitol. You did it. Let me say this too, and I'm done. I'm not mad at the Democrats. I'm not mad at crackheads who smoke crack all day. I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at gangbangers. This is what they do. I'm mad at the people who won't stand up against that. I'm not mad at the Democrats. I know these people hate America. I know these people hate America. They hate white people. A lot of these people are dumb. They don't remember history. They know nothing about communism. They know nothing about any of this. I know that. I'm not mad at you. That's what you stand. I'm mad at the Republicans who at the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they did nothing about big tech censorship. They did nothing about election fraud. They did nothing. Hillary Clinton should have been in prison, but they set the precedent that you can be a politician and commit all kinds of crimes and you will never be held accountable. They set the precedent. They did nothing. They were saying that the election was stolen in 2016. Russia. They lied. We caught them lying. They made up a scenario. It was a coup. We didn't do nothing about it. We did nothing about it. So now they're going to keep doing stuff. It's the Republicans' fault. It is the Republican conservatives' fault that these things are happening. I don't want to hear nobody make an excuse. I don't want to hear nobody say anything. It was the Republicans' fault. They don't do nothing. They cower every chance they get. They trying to be on the side of the Democrats. These Democrats ain't vibing with you, bruh. They letting you throw rope out there to hang yourself. And all of you feckless Republicans and conservatives, it's your fault. I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, the violence at the Capitol. But if somebody comes into an establishment and police want to give somebody a ticket for not having a mask, y'all all for the insurrection. You all for combating police. Y'all all turning on, I don't back the blue when they come in and giving you a ticket for wearing a mask. When you tell me how is mask mandate, which I believe is unconstitutional, how is that any different than an unconstitutional election? They the same thing. Y'all totally fine with going to the Capitol wearing no mask, protesting, wearing no mask, going into private businesses with no mask. Even though a private business has a right to tell you to put a mask on, you go in there with no mask and you cool. And when police show up to the scene to enforce the law that you voted on, meaning that you voted for the governor to have the power to do executive orders, when they show up, you bashing the police. And the Capitol Police do something at the Capitol, you bashing the people. And you supporting the police. Make your mind up. Make your mind up where you stand. Is it unconstitutional or is it not? Are you going to stand up for your constitutional rights or you not? If people believed that the election was stolen, if that's what they believe, then they are going to fight for it. That's just what's going to happen. If you believe mask mandate is unconstitutional, people are going to fight for it. And I'm okay with people defending the Capitol. That's the country. The country has to defend the Capitol. Well, if you come up and you want that smoke, you're going to get that smoke. Be ready for that smoke. You ain't a victim. You know, and that same premise goes for masks. People have got to enforce the mask. Police officers have to. That's just the way it is. They have to enforce mask laws. The laws are on the books. The governor give them orders. The governor have executive power to do that because you voted to let them do it. When they do it, if police officers come to your place, your place of business, and they tell you they're going to write you a ticket, I don't blame them. And I don't blame people saying, get the F out of my business or I'm going to tear this mud up. There's two sides to the coin. There's two sides to the coin. I wish that police officers wouldn't enforce unconstitutional stuff that I feel is unconstitutional. I wish they wouldn't enforce it. But when they do, you make a decision. You punk out and you let them give you a ticket, or you say, get out of my thing, or it's gonna be some smoke. That's how this country should be combated. That's how this country should be rolled out. There's gonna be some fighting if you standing up for something. Because what are you gonna do when they come for your guns? What are you gonna do? I know what some of y'all are gonna do. Some of y'all are gonna give over all of your guns and say, we're not the party of violence. Take all of our guns. We'll vote next time. That's what some of y'all want to do, because you're not the party of violence. So when they come take your gun, you're non-violent. You're not finna do anything. You finna let them kick in your door and take all of your guns. You finna let them stop you on a traffic stop when you have a gun in your car, and when they catch you, they're gonna take you to prison because you're a now convicted felon because they banned handguns. They banned ARs. Some of y'all gonna sit there and let them do it because you're a party of nonviolence, right? You don't get violent over your constitutional rights, do you? You wouldn't get violent over your constitutional right to a fair election. You definitely wouldn't get violent over that, right? And you're not gonna get violent over them taking your AR-15. And then when they say every Trump supporter is a Nazi terrorist and you are banned off all social media and there's an FBI investigation open up into you, You're not going to be violent. You're going to sit there and take it, right? You're going to let them put shackles on you and haul you off to jail because you're an insurrectionist, because you supported the president. And only when you are in the internment camp, only when you're in a FEMA camp, will you get with your fellow Americans and you say, we need to fight back. Well, you should have thought about that 10 years ago. Instead of now you're in prison and you're trying to find out how to get out of prison. Let me say this and I'm done. Practical example. Some people wait until you get into a relationship with somebody you don't like, and then you try to find a way out. You should have thought about that before you got in a relationship. You don't wait till you're in a relationship and got married and had a wedding to figure out a way out. You should have gotten out before you got in. You should have told her you don't want to talk to her no more and blocked her number or his number before you got in a relationship. Because everybody knows it's hard to get out of something you didn't got yourself in. You don't have a baby with somebody you hate and then try to figure out how to get out of that relationship after you have a baby and you're on child support. You're supposed to do that before you get married with somebody you don't like and you get on child support. Y'all have 5 kids together. You should have stopped before that. Because now you're stuck. Now you're stuck. I'm just giving y'all some truth. You're supposed to stop the government from tyranny before you're in a FEMA camp. You're supposed to fight back from tyranny before they take your guns. Before they cast the vote to take our AR-15s. You're supposed to be peacefully protesting before, not after. I'm going to say this last analogy. Somebody need to know this. You need to get your life right with God before you die. Not after you die. Before. Not on your deathbed. Before. You should be living right now. You should be fighting these demons now. Don't wait until after you're dead. Because after you're dead, it may be too late. I love you guys. I'm out of here.